If you are ready to go, we'll just tear through. You ready?
Come on now.
All right, here we go.
All right. Here we are. Another episode of Aftershocks on AfterShocksTV.com on the CMS network. And joining us today from the San Francisco Bay Area hard rock heavyweight veterans Night Ranger, we got guitarist Brad Gillis with us. Brad, thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing, man?
Doing fine. Kind of back to work, kind of digging that, with this 14, 15-month hiatus of not gigging. It was a tough one on us, but we did 3 in a row last weekend. And, man, we just got booked on that rock fest in Cadott, Wisconsin this Friday. Kind of a last-minute thing, but that's going to be a crazy one.
Sure, man. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you just alluded to the fact you just played some shows this past week, and go ahead and I guess talk a little bit about how great that felt to finally get back out there. After this last year and a half of not really knowing where live music was going and when things would open up.
Well, we kept ourselves busy through this downtime doing a record, which was great. But basically, to get out and play live was a blast, and we actually. Since we had a couple sound checks, we learned Breakout from the new record, and we played that live the third show, and it came over real well. So, putting something new in the set's always great. Having a new record out is always great. I just hate the downtime when you finish a record, you have to wait 3 months before it comes out,
Right.
But it'll be out August 6th.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when you've been around as long as Night Ranger has been, there's not a lot of firsts, when you've been together for 40 plus years or something. But obviously, yeah, this, as you just kind of alluded to again, this was definitely, I'm sure, first in terms of how you guys recorded the new record, ATBPO. So tell us a little bit about what of a different experience this recording was compared to obviously how you guys normally record a new record.
Well, under the situation, we had to come up with a way to be able to come up with these ideas and actually record. Everybody has their own home studio, which is a blessing. And we started out with, believe it or not, Zoom calls with Jack Kelly and me, and just jamming around on Zoom, everybody throwing in ideas and kind of recording it on a little, on my phone or something, Zoom computer, then record on my phone, come up with these ideas. And that kind of went real well. And once we had a bunch of ideas down and figured out the arrangement, we threw it to Carrie Kelly, our other guitar player, and Eric Levy, our keyboard player, and they threw in their 2 cents on what to add and this and that. And we had Kelly Kagi, our drummer, go into a big studio in Arizona where he lives now and record the drums. Great drum sound. Did a great job. Once we had that, it was just flying those the drums and songs around everybody's studio, and everybody start putting their own parts on it. And then we get together and we talk about it and do another Zoom call and go over stuff. And it was a strange way to do a record, but I tell you, man, I think it turned out great. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. The tracks I've heard sound great so far. Once again, it's ATBPO stands for "And the Band Played On." And speaking of playing on, I mean, Night Ranger, you guys have been obviously playing on for decades now. In fact, I think next year will be 40 years since the release of Dawn Patrol, which is crazy to think it's been that long since, you guys
it's been
released
40
that album.
Years?
That's what it is, right? Yeah, exactly.
We came out in the 1800s.
But yeah, it was 40 years. And one of the things that that I really enjoy and respect about you guys for doing is that you are continuing to release new music on a consistent basis. I mean, you've released, I think, a new record about every 3 years or so now for the last 15 years or so. And the thing is, a lot of bands from your era, in that era, the 80s, and your sound, and the from the early 80s, they sort of these days tend to sort of, and understandably, I get it, but they tend to sort of rest on their laurels when it comes to creating new music, and they prefer to just kind of go out there and play the hits that their band is known for. So why is it important, for Night Ranger to continue to write and record new music, even though you guys could obviously easily do the same? You could just simply play your hits from the past and just do that instead of playing new music.
Man, it's in our blood. I got to tell you, man. You know, doing new records is always a blast. We've had Frontiers records out of Italy, all over us, past
Mhm.
decade or so. And you know, as long as we want to put something out, we got fresh ideas in our head. You know, we go with it. We had to go into this strange COVID situation to record it, but it's in our blood to do a record every couple of years. It keeps the band kind of excited and fresh too. You know what I mean? And then we
Mhm.
always throw in a song or two in the set when we go out for familiarity with the crowd and kind of announcing something new. And you know, we always have those the videos that come out. You know, we did one for Breakout
Mhm.
Bring It On Home, the second single. So you know, we have a great core fan base, which helps, and so they're excited about new records too. So like I said, it was a blast to play Breakout the other night. You know,
Mhm.
and you know what's great about it? It's up, it's fiery, it's got that classic Night Ranger dual guitar
Mhm.
harmony thing, and then the solos, and Jack kicks butt on this. He sang his butt off on this record, man, on this song
Mhm.
especially, and he's all excited about it. So, you know, that excitement kind of keeps us kind of moving and going and stretching out, and
Mhm.
creates excitement for us.
No
Awesome. Yeah.
question. Now, Brad, obviously you've done 2 records now with Carrie, and you know you're the primary guitar guy, and then Carrie comes in, and before that was Joe Hoekstra, and you know you've worked with different guys now over the years. How is it different now working with Carrie now that you've got a couple records versus like when you were working with Joel, or even way back in the day when you were working with Jeff?
Well, obviously, for someone to join this band, they got to be up to par with all the other musicians. And that, what I'm saying is, be able to be a great player, be able to sing well, and just the attitude. You know, I mean, when you're on the road, you're actually, you know, living with this whoever joins the band, and you know, doing bus tours and such. You know, you want to make sure everybody gets along. Carrie's great. He brings a lot to the table. Great guitar player, got that tone, and we're all happy to have him in the band. And you know, Joel was great too. And you know, it's just finding the right guy.
Sure, definitely. And you know one of the things, Brad, I'm an old school Night Ranger guy. Like I I I have been around for those 10 years that are actually 40 years, you know. I remember seeing you guys. The first time I saw you guys was in Cleveland at a WMMS coffee break concert eons ago on Dawn Patrol. I think it was at Cleveland Music Hall. And then I saw you as recently as I think 2 years ago at the Northfield Roxino. So I've kind of spanned the gamut. And the
Right.
one thing that I really notice, especially watching you now, is you guys still very much enjoy playing live. And I think it's almost to the point maybe you enjoy it more now. It comes off to the crowd like you enjoy it more now than maybe you did in the heyday. A, is that true? And B, what is it about the performance now that is so enjoyable for you guys night after night?
Well, you know, you got to realize, you know, we all think our lucky stars will still be playing after 40 years, being in the same band. It's kind of a pinnacle point for any band, you know, to be able to play decades and stay together and play live. And you know, back in the day, you guys, we were doing 250 shows a year, you know, in the 80s
Right.
when we came out with it. And that's a lot. And, you know, even though we were young, it got tiring. It'd take a toll on you, especially the long 2 3 month bus tours. But you know, now things are different because we don't play as much. So when we do, it's more special. You know what I mean? And uh, we're
Mhm.
lucky to get on. Gosh, you know, 10 years back, whatever, we had this 40 show journey 400 night ranger around the country. You know, we went to Europe. We always go to Japan when we release a record. We had our Sammy Hagar tour a couple years ago, and we wow, last year we lost our Sammy Whitesnake Night Ranger amphitheater tour because of COVID. But so, you know, after doing this
Mhm.
record in the last year, and getting ready to put it out, and things opening up, you know, we're all excited just to get back on the road and do what we do, you know, and entertain the crowd. And it's a blast, man. It's, you know, I guess it's as fun or more fun because we're weekend warriors. We go out on a Thursday, play Friday, Saturday, home on a
Mhm.
Sunday. We're not on a bus for so long because believe you me, that gets old quick.
No question. Do you kind of watch the crowd now when you, especially when you play the new material, to see, because obviously it's not like the old days where you could look at a sheet and see, well, we sold 200,000 copies of our record this week. It's not that way anymore. So do you evaluate the new music by seeing how the crowd reacts to it, if they're singing along or if they're grooving to it or clapping along? Is that how you read it now?
Yeah, of course. And when we end up doing these theater shows and stuff on our own, where we're the headliner, which we're mostly doing now, it's mainly our fans, which is great. So you got Night Range, we got a large core fan base, and they all show up when they can, when we're close or local and in their town. And we always, any new music, you're trying to get a reaction, but I think the videos up to a breakout is up to like maybe 300,000 views, which is great. So we just started playing it this last weekend, the third show of the three. So we're waiting to just go out and just keep doing it, and people will get familiarized themselves with it, a little more all the time, and new fans and such. And I'm sure a couple months down the line, even after the record's released and stuff, breakout will come across even bigger and better.
Sure, no doubt. Well, Brad, one of the cool things that you and Carrie did on the record, and you could see from the videos too, was that you both used a couple of vintage guitars. You had played, I believe, the 57 Stratocaster and the 52 Les Paul Gold Top, two guitars that obviously, totally essential to help create the rock and roll sound back in the 50s. Talk about why you decided to use those on the record. I know you're a guy who likes to, use classic guitars. Was there any specific reason that you went for these guitars this time around? Did it provide you with, something that maybe you didn't have on other records? Or?
Well, I'm a vintage guitar collector and vintage amp collector. So I got like 100 guitars and about 40 amps. So I picked a couple of jewels out that I had, that 52 Gold Top and this 50 Strat. I just wanted to get some different tones on the record, which, the ballad, Can't Find Me a Hero. I played the Strat through a 65 Fender Deluxe reverb amp. It just got that Strat tone, you know what I mean? Which I really wanted for the record. And there's something about vintage guitars. I mean, it's for real. The age of the wood, just the way they made them back in the day, they kind of got their own little squonk to them. So, and then the Gold Top, I just wanted to play some heavier rhythms and just, get a little heavier sound on certain songs. But having the luxury of different tones has always been great for me doing records. But I'm still playing my 62 Red Strat on a bunch of stuff and taking that on the road and playing that live. And live, I only play three guitars. I play my 62 Red Strat, and then I play my 85 Fernandez BG replicas they made back in 1985. They made 100 of them, and I got a really great one. They both have vintage original Floyd Roses on them, made by Floyd Rose in his garage in 1978. And Eddie Van Halen got the first one, Neil Schon got the second one, and I got the third one. And when Eddie was doing his dive bombs, I wanted to be different. So I started doing way back in the day, before we even made it. I started doing harmonic pull-ups. When Eddie was doing dive bombs going down, I thought I'll be, which, as you could hear on my last note in Don't Tell Me Love Me solo. And then one day I was goofing around and I bang. I was looking in the mirror trying to come up with some stage moves, right? And I banged my guitar and I was playing it, through an amp, I'm playing, and I heard the and oh, look. Oh, I got one right here. Hi.
Nice.
Anyway, so I was banging around and this thing was shaking. The bar was shaking on the Floyd, right? And this causes flutter sound. I went, and then, I figured out it was actually this floating on my guitar causing that sound. So I incorporated that in my Don't Tell Me Love Me solo too. But using different guitars, different amps, I always try to interject my style in every solo I do. I mean, there's so many guitar players, there's so many great players, but you got to have your own identity. So that's mine, the whole tremolo bar.
Very cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, speaking of back in the day, Brad, and live shows, this past March It marked the 43rd anniversary of one of the all-time, great American rock festivals that take place, the Cal Jam 2 in Southern California back in '78. And you, of course,
March 18th, 1978, biggest
there you go.
music day of my life. Go ahead.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, obviously, you and Jack obviously both were there with Rubicon. I mean, I think it was like over 300,000 fans that attended there. It was insane. I guess just talk a bit about that performance and experience in terms of what it did to prepare you for your career, as a musician when you started Night Ranger, once you guys started taking off.
Well, I was playing in club bands and after high school in the late 70s. And, I was playing in clubs, playing all the whatever music was coming out. And really, a lot of funk was out then. And I really got into playing with a cleaner tone. Get those ninth chord, started getting into that. And I kind of learned that whole, I wanted to branch out and learn all it was playing back then was hard rock and a lot of Blue Oyster Cult and Led Zeppelin and all that fun stuff back then. But, so I got in this band playing 5 nights a week, 5 sets a night, got real good at it. Somebody came in and saw me playing. Said, we got this band called Rubicon. Are you interested? I said, sure. I heard they had a record deal on 20th Century Fox Records. So I went and auditioned. They auditioned like 30 guys. And the guy that auditioned right before me is a guy I went to high school with. His name is Danny Chauncey, and he played with 38 Specials the last 30 years. Anyway,
wow, yeah.
They gave him the gig and said, there's just one more guy. You might know him, Brad Gillis. And Danny goes, yeah, because we kind of grew up in rival bands in high school, right? So, long story short, I got the gig. Jack and I got along, and playing together and such. And they went to LA to do my first record with Rubicon, and we had a semi-hit. I think it was top 20, called "I'm Gonna Take Care of Everything." So. We were this unknown band with a semi-hit or close to a big hit on the radio. We didn't play out much. But the gigs we did were kind of cool here and there. We really didn't play that much live. But there was a gig called the Cal Jam 2, March 18th, 1978, with Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Hart Day, Mason, Santana, all these great bands. And they put us the unknown band on there. And what was going on back then, they wanted the biggest rockinest band for each record label back then. On these shows, each label got to throw their biggest band and whatever. 20th Century Fox, we were their only real rock band, but we were funk rock. We had a horn section and everything. Anyway, we were supposed to open the show, and there was, I think it was 350,000 people there, and it was just. And here I just turned 20 years old, biggest gig of my life, wow. But they thought the slot was too big for an unknown band, so. They put us at the end of the show after Aerosmith, all right? So, and then I think it was Mahogany Rush, too, after Aerosmith. So when we played, there's probably only 250,000 there.
Oh, only, huh?
But still, yeah. But it was broadcast on TV, and they did a double live record. We were part of that, but it was just huge for us. And we ended up doing another record called American Dreams, and nothing really happened. And then that's when the drummer quit, and Kelly Kagi, our Night Ranger drummer, joined Rubicon. And, I think we did a couple shows with Kelly, but it just wasn't happening. Everybody in the band started going their own way, different bands and stuff. So Jack and I and Kelly stayed together. And this is late 79-ish, early, and then Jack was good friends with Alan Fitzgerald, the keyboard player, who knew the guitar player from Sacramento named Jeff Watson. And I really wasn't into playing with another guitar player, but when we were going, come on, let's do the Thin Lizzy thing, Allman Brother thing, Leonard Skinner, twin guitars. And Jeff was a whole different style than me. He was more of that fast, fluid picking stuff, and I had more of the blues, whammy bar, melodic style. And when I met Jeff, we just got along great. Just him and I just hit it off real well. And when we went in and do solos with Night Ranger, we figure out what solo fit which guitar player, and also vocals too with Jack and Kelly, what song fit their voice the best. We always wanted to cater to whoever made the song stand out the most. So that's why, we figure out, what songs Kelly should sing and what solos Jeff and I, and then if him and I would battle out what solo to do, then Jack would come in and go, all right, you guys, do harmonies. Harmonies, but then, then Kelly Kagi, our drummer, wrote this little song called Sister Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And we were playing that, and I knew, I said, hey man, I got to do this solo. And Walt says, all right, man. And so I ended up doing the solo, but we recorded it, and the record company, they were pretty smart. You put out a record and you want that, first big hit or two. And sure enough, we released off of Dawn Patrol, our first single, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And MTV had just come out. We did our video. They didn't have enough content for 24/7 to play videos. So he played Don't Tell Me You Love Me literally 25 or 30 times a day. Wow. Then everybody got hip to it and started throwing in videos. Then every record, I think we did about a dozen or more that were big throughout the 80s. But the record company decided to hold off on this little ballad called Sister Christian because they knew it. They knew it was going to be a big hit. So sure enough, we get in to do the second record, and Jack and I wrote You Can Still Rock in America, big theme song, first single off the second record. And then this little old ballad came out, Sister Christian. And it was so huge that we were able to branch off and start to headline on our own, late 83 or 84ish, something like that. And I remember gearing up a new stage and everything, getting on the bus and, extra buses, trucks with equipment and everything. It's like, wow, our first headline tour. And we pulled into our first show of our headline tour. We pulled into La Crosse, Wisconsin, to that Coliseum there, and on marquee it said, tonight Night Ranger sold out. And we were like, yeah, so we started out with a bang, and because of Sister Christian.
Nice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let me ask you, Brad, I just want to piggyback off of that a little bit. Sister Christian obviously was so huge, and you did do ballads on subsequent records after with Goodbye and obviously Hearts Away and stuff like that. Was that you guys kind of trying to chase the success of Sister Christian, or was that really just what you wrote at the time? And because it doesn't
don't get me started.
So that's a yes.
Don't get me started. All right, here's what happened. We got moved over from Boardwalk. The label was starting to go under, and then MCA picked us up with the Irving A's off. We released, Sister Christian was such a big hit. They thought, wow, such big success with the ballad. Let's release ballads for the rest of their friggin' career. So that's what happened there. They kept releasing ballad after ballad, and they killed the band, man. They killed this band. We had great rock songs, but the success of the ballad was too big. And I'll stop it right there.
well, let me ask this one, since we've got you sort of talking about it. Is there a song in the catalog? Maybe it's one of the two I mentioned, but is there anything in the Night Ranger catalog, 100 and however many songs now, that you personally look at and absolutely cringe at it because it just isn't what you would have put your name on, what you like, something like that?
Well, here's what happened. About the fifth or sixth record, whatever it was, we were, we didn't want to write a ballad. We were going to give them our just rock and roll record. They said, "Where's your ballad?" Well, we don't have one. Oh, yes, you will have one. So they started throwing songs at us. And one was a song called "I Did It." I did it. I did it for love. Right. Okay, thank you. So we did it, got a video, released it, didn't do nothing. We all cringed, and so it's that song. I Did It for Love. That's the one that makes me cringe.
Very good, man.
I'm
Well,
cringing. I'm cringing right now.
well, there's no need to be cringing off of anything of the new record. ATBPO and the band played on. It is brand new Night Ranger. It is out next month. And Brad, where should we send people to keep up with you guys and get tour dates and buy the record?
Well, you know, of course, you know, Facebook, Night Ranger, nightranger.com, you know, whatever. And but you know, we got some great gigs coming up. We just did the M3 Festival back east. That was great, headlined on 4th of July. But we have Summerfest coming up, Fraser Pavilion in Ohio with Styx, Moondance Jam. We had the Rockfest in Cadott coming up this Friday. We just got the Kiss Cruise over Halloween. Nice. And we're doing the Sweden Rock Festival in Sweden, opening for Guns N' Roses in 2022 summer.
Wow.
So it ain't so bad.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, one more time, the name of the record is the band played on, or ATBPO. And Brad, thanks so much once again for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Yeah, appreciate it, Brad.
Hey, my pleasure, you guys. You know, thanks for having me and letting the world know we got this new record coming out, and we're touring a lot. So, you know, check the schedule, and anybody listening, see if we're coming to your area.